Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I am going to be pruning up my Baobab trees. These trees are 5 years old. I grew them from seeds and I've never pruned them. I've just been letting them grow. So today I'm going to do the first pruning on the trees, and the reason I'm pruning them is that they're getting really big, tall and bushy, and I know I won't be able to fit them in the plant room in the winter. They're just too big. I barely fit them in last year. And they're taking up a lot of space here in the greenhouse, and I've got to prune them eventually. So today is the day. Here is a look at the trees. So yeah, you can see the largest one. It's just kind of filling the greenhouse up here. It's getting really, really big. If I had more room, or if I could grow these trees outdoors, I would let them grow even thicker. Here's the thickness of the trunk on the largest one. Yeah, generally if you're growing a baobab, you want to just let it grow until the trunk gets to your desired thickness, and then you do a big cut on the top here. You let side branches grow and develop the structure from there, usually through clip and grow, because they don't take to wire very easily. If you wire the branch down, once you remove the wire, even after 5 years, they tend to spring back up, and it can leave some horrible wire scars. So yeah, so I'm going to do the big chops today, and I'm kind of, I've never pruned these trees, and I don't want to lose them. They're my only 3 baobab trees, so they're kind of special to me, but I know I have to prune them. So I've been looking, I did a lot of research, and it seems you can cut them any time in the year. So I'm going to do it kind of midsummer. That gives the trees the rest of the summer to grow and recover. The root pruning, I've read, should be done just as they're beginning to break dormancy. That's when I did it last time, and it worked quite well. So the cuts on the top here, when you cut the trunk, it's recommended you seal it with glue. So I'll use my rubber cement and seal the cuts. That'll stop it drying back. These trees, they're like a jade. They don't have a cambium layer on the outside. They heal from within. And yeah, so when you do a cut, it should heal across that cut point quite easily. The other trees are quite a bit smaller, even though they're the same age, and it's not the pot size. They've just always grown smaller and weaker. And these seeds, they're from Hawaii. They're African baobabs, Abyssinia digitata, Abyssinia digitata, something like that. Yeah, so they're the African baobab tree. So when I prune these, the biggest decision is where to cut the trunk. How high do I want it? And I'm thinking, I've got all these lower shoots on the tree, and then it comes up and it divides into like some major woody branches up here. And I'm thinking that's too tall. I don't know how thick I'll be able to grow this trunk. Once you do the big cut, it'll slow the growth down for sure. So I was thinking, keeping these lower branches and cutting this one off somewhere about here. These ones, they have some lower branches. I could probably do a cut maybe a little higher, keeping these upper branches. And the other one, it has a good kind of leader here. I could just cut off the really tall one here and leave the other branches on it. Yeah, so here I go. Big cuts coming up, and there'll probably be only 3 of them. Once I do the pruning on the trees, I will have cuttings. They generally don't root easily from cuttings. The thicker the cutting, the better the chance of it rooting is. I'm going to try rooting the cuttings. I'm going to let the bottom dry out just like you would a jade cutting for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then I'll plant the cuttings in a very porous soil mixture and not water them very much. I'll just keep them in the humid greenhouse here. And if I see signs of new growth on them, then I'll start kind of misting it and maybe increasing the watering. But yeah, I'll treat it exactly like a jade cutting and just see how they do. If they don't root, well, they don't root. I still have a lot of seeds, Baobab seeds, and Baobab seeds, they stay viable for years, like 5-10 years. So there's no rush. If the cuttings don't root and I want more Baobab trees, I'll plant more seeds and get more going. So here I go. If you can tell, I'm a little hesitant doing this. It's kind of a bit scary. I'm not experienced at growing Baobab trees, and they're kind of rare here in Canada, and I don't want to lose the tree if possible. So here I go, cutting off the tops of the trees. I'm going to be using my ratcheting pruners to make the cuts. But before I do that, I'm going to clean them with soap and water and then dry them off, make sure they're as dry as possible, and then do the cut. Okay, get these pruners cleaned up. And I've got a rag I can just clean them with. Spray them once more and then let them dry off. Okay, so I'll let those dry and then do the big cuts. Okay, here I go. So where to prune it? The shorter you prune them, the thicker the trunk will look. You know, if the tree was this high, it looks fairly thick. If I prune it way up here, it's starting to get quite long. I've got a good, set of branches down low here. So I'm thinking maybe here. This is so scary doing this. Here. Maybe I'll go one higher. All right, here I go. Big cut coming up. Click, 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 click. It's done. There's what I took off, the whole top of the tree. It's just absolutely enormous. I'll show you the size of the cutting here. So here's the size of my cutting. It's pretty big. So I'll set that over here until I'm ready to plant it. So next, I'm going to seal the top with my rubber cement. So I'll show you that. So here I go. So I'll need quite a dab. Put it on the top, seal it up. Use a little more. Okay, that should stop any moisture getting out, should seal the cut up. So that tree is done. I'm not going to water it too much over the next week. There's plenty of water stored in the trunk, and I just want to keep it on the dry side at first. So that tree's done. Okay, I'll take it away, put it on the bench now that it fits on the bench, and start on tree number 2. So even though, tree number 2 isn't very thick at the base, it is very, very tall. It goes almost right to the roof of the greenhouse here. So yeah, kind of a tall, skinny tree. So let's prune it up now. So this one I'm going to prune a little differently. There's kind of a cluster of branches down here, but there's no point making it too small. So I think I definitely want to prune. This is the long leader, this branch here. I'm going to try, I was going to try a midpoint cut here, but I think I'll leave some foliage. So I'll prune it up here. So here I go. maybe right in here. So here goes tree number 2. Very, very tall cutting. So I'll take that away. And then I have kind of a long branch here, and I have another branch here. So this one I will try cutting midway. There's no leaves. So I will try pruning it right to here. Like that. And that is all the pruning on this one. So I'll seal those cuts up also. There's one sealed up, and I'll even seal the little one here. Like that. And we'll just see how they do. If it works out, I'm sure I'll get a little braver with the pruning, but for now, just take little steps at a time. So that tree is done. It can go back on the bench. Tree number 3 has a slightly thicker trunk, but it's not as tall. It kind of branched out a bit up top here. So yeah, each one of the 3 trees is definitely grown differently. So on this one, I mentioned maybe pruning it here, keeping these branches. I think somewhere, above here would be a good point to cut it. So, all right, here I go. I'll leave a bit of a stub just in case it dies back after I prune it. And I'm wondering, maybe it'll stimulate growth above. So I'll prune it off to here. So here I go. Big cut coming up. Just like that. So there's another cutting I can try planting. And I'll get that cut sealed up. Some people use flour of sulfur, which is a powdered sulfur, on these cuts, but the video I watched, they use wood glue, so I think the rubber cement will work quite well. So that tree's all pruned up. I'm not going to do any more pruning on it. I can see someday in the future this could be a branch leader and maybe the upper part could get pruned away. Maybe these lower branches will have to be removed someday. I don't know. We'll see how it develops. So that's all 3 baobabs pruned up. So I'll put them on the bench and just show you what they all look like. Here's a look at all 3 trees now pruned back. The main tree. Maybe this one does have a thicker trunk, that one that was taller. And the third one over here. Yeah, so we'll see how they do. I was waiting, it was very hot and humid out, and I was waiting until the humidity dropped before I pruned these. So in the greenhouse here, it's always warm, and it's fairly humid. Right now it's 30 degrees Celsius in the greenhouse. So, a good temperature for baobabs. Yeah, so we'll just see how they do. I'll keep my eyes on, see what's happening around this cut point, if it heals over, if it dies back. There's no guarantees. I'm new to growing baobabs, so we will just see what happens, but I knew I had to prune them. They were just getting too large. I do have a playlist for these baobab trees, and I'll link it in the description below the video, so you can follow these trees from getting the seeds to germinating the seeds and then growing them to this stage. And the playlist updates with each video I add, so someday in the future people can just check that playlist and say, oh, that's how you grow baobabs in a cold climate. Here is a look at the tops of the trees. So as I said, I'm going to let these dry out for a week, maybe 2, and I'm sure all the leaves will go limp and fall off these cuttings. So before that happens, I love the taste of baobab leaves. They're delicious. So I am going to have a bit of a salad here. eating the leaves. They're fantastic. They kind of taste like cashews. It's just a beautiful taste. I find that there's lots of videos online about growing baobab trees into bonsai, but all the videos are from South Africa or India, hot climates, not cold climates like here in Canada. So I'm hoping, my experiments with baobab trees, growing them into bonsai here in a cold climate, help someone and maybe inspire someone to grow their own. So I overwinter these trees in the plant room. I let them generally grow all summer. They get nice and bushy and full of leaves. And then I bring them into the plant room for the winter once the temperatures start getting the nighttime lows at about 15 degrees Celsius. You've got to keep these trees warm. Any lower than 15 degrees Celsius, you're starting to take your chances. And anything below about 12, maybe even 10, the trees will die. So you've got to keep them warm. So I keep them in the plant room over the winter. They go into the plant room full of leaves. I don't water them at all in the winter, not even a drop. And slowly over the next month, once they're indoors, they start to lose their leaves. They dry up and fall off. And the trees stay dormant for the whole winter. And then you'll find in spring, even though you haven't watered the trees, the buds start turning green and they'll start pushing out leaves. And that's a sign that they can start to be watered. So you start introducing water, misting it, light waterings. And then when the temperatures warm up outside, when you can keep them above 15 degrees Celsius and they're starting to grow leaves, you give them full watering. And in the summer you can water these almost every day. I let the soil go dry, but in the summer they use a lot of water. So you've got to keep up with your watering in the summer. If you let them go dry in the summer, you can actually kill the tree. So that's it for today. My baobabs are pruned back. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.